Women who come to me on a regular basis for fertility and reproductive health issues, the stress levels are extremely high for them, not giving them time to actually focus on some kind of relaxation practices. We also teach rituals of these practices in terms of Garbha Sanskar. And then we train the women through the second trimester, third trimester, not just through yoga practices like asanas, but also breathing techniques and relaxation practices, which includes mindfulness and visualization practices.
Oh, nice.
So postnatal actually is the most challenging part, post-delivery, because hardly women find it time to actually have this window for self-care.
Health, wellness and healing. Now these things have become a part of our life, and there are various methods how we can achieve this, and we all know that yoga is one of them. Today we have with us Aarthi Padmanabhan, the founder of Padma Yoga Academy with us. She has been a yoga practitioner and a teacher for more than 2 decades. So let's welcome her on Beyond Her Story on Wonder Woman Wednesday. Welcome, Aarthi, to Beyond Her Story. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Sneha, for having me here. It's been a warm welcome. Thank you so much.
I know that that you do much more than yoga, like you mentioned. Plus, even in yoga, there are a lot of things that you focus on. Now, and we can't focus on everything in this conversation. So I think we discussed and said that in today's conversation, we'll focus on women's reproductive health, because we know that women go through a lot of stages in their life, and each stage has its own set of challenges, and we go through a lot of things. So I think we'll focus on that for today.
For sure.
So let's start with the things that have been a sort of concern currently, which is fertility issues. So I think we all know that people suffer from fertility issues, but based on your experience, since you focus on this part of it, what are your observations and what are your thoughts about how women, or maybe in general people, can work towards their health in terms of fertility?
Right. So when it comes to fertility, the first question which couples ask themselves if they are physically fit in their own biological health. And the answer to that is yes and no. There are a lot of external factors that contribute to their reproductive health.
Okay.
I would like to elaborate here a little bit, saying that external factors could be something which may be under control or may not be under our control. Under our control, certainly, in terms of lifestyle choices that we make, in terms of the stress factors that we actually, take in on a daily basis, and at the same time, the kind of food habits that we have. Because women who come to me on a regular basis for fertility and reproductive health issues, the stress levels are extremely high for them, not giving them time to actually focus on some kind of relaxation practices.
Aarthi, so does this include yoga as a part of the fertility sessions that you have?
Yes, in terms of improving your fertility, yoga becomes a part and parcel of our learning, in terms of practice as well as in terms of connecting with your body. So when I say connecting with your body, we also teach rituals of these practices in terms of Garbha Sanskar, which is an ancient practice of Ayurveda techniques, where you actually train the body to actually cultivate this kind of a system inside the womb, where your body actually responds to certain kinds of natural treatments in terms of changes within the body, on basis of diet, on basis of sleep, on basis of definitely the daily activities that you do. So if that can be understood by the women, then it becomes a lot more easier for her for conception, and at the same time, the journey going forward becomes much more easier. We also talk about pre-preparation for the body in terms of cleansing practices, which is a part of yoga practices itself. And this can be either done through an Ayurvedic expert or through a yoga consultant, where he or she trains the women in terms of certain kinds of shatkarmas that can be practiced to actually cleanse the body, and then start off with the yogic practices on asanas and pranayama.
So, Aarthi, for common people like me, how do these practices add on to like somebody who's going for a conception?
Not many people know that Garbha Sanskar is a part and parcel of the yogic practices, because when we talk about preparing the body and nurturing the body, we talk about the mind. And it's very important for you to actually train your mind to establish that connection with your body. And that happens only through these practices, where you're culturing the mind in such a way that you understand where you are getting into in terms of conception. Because lot of people feel that they can naturally conceive, and after they conceive, they don't know where is the road ahead. And sometimes it is planned, sometimes it is unplanned. But I would say, if you need to have a planned conception, then you need to really understand what is your role and responsibility as a parent, as a mother. So this is a part of Garbha Sanskar practices, where you're sowing the right kind of seeds inside the womb to give those kinds of virtues and values for the child. And that training has to be done much before conception, at least 3 months before conception.
So if a couple has to approach you, should it be like when they think that maybe next 3 to 6 months down the line they want to conceive, that is when
exactly. So they are planning has to be done much before they actually start feeling that they are ready for the conception.
Understood. So it's not just fertility, you also have sessions with women for prenatal.
Yes.
So what does that comprise of?
So prenatal sessions has been not very old. It's been almost like about 10 years that people have been practicing pregnancy yoga. And I myself have practiced pregnancy yoga when I actually conceived. This was almost 16 years back. And maybe it was not as elaborate like the way people do it right now, where I myself guide and train the women. But in a very small way, we felt that it is good to connect to our body through simple stretches, yogasanas and pranayama practices. And this is very, very welcoming for, a very stress-free delivery and birth process. And that is exactly what I did. And I did my practices just before I delivered, the day before I delivered also. And I think by the grace of God, it was a natural delivery. And I was blessed with a baby boy. And obviously, the pain associated with that was much less because of the practices that I did quite some time before I actually, got into the family way. Yeah, so I definitely encourage a lot of women to start off as early as the first trimester, post 8 weeks of their confirmation that they are ready for such practices. And then we train the women through the second trimester, third trimester, not just through yoga practices like asanas, but also breathing techniques and relaxation practices, which includes mindfulness and visualization practices.
Nice.
But before starting any yogic practices, it would be best to consult your gynec or your OB to actually be safe, so that you can start off with the practices, avoiding any other kind of complications.
Aarthi, how safe is it to do yoga during pregnancy? I mean, you explained the process to me and it seemed okay, but can you add a bit more into it? Because a lot of people have these concerns, right? So,
correct. Yeah, so yoga is the most safest thing to be done during prenatal. And as I mentioned, that people come to us in the first trimester itself to practice yoga. And we see that there are a lot of people who are physically very fit and they have been doing gym practices, weight training practices, they are runners, they are cyclists and so on. But having this background, I would say that it's always best to consult your doctor before getting into any yogic practices as well. Because yoga and other forms of, heavyweight fitness activities can be very different and challenging. Although I would say both can be complement each other in terms of, strength. But if you have not practiced any of these formats before, I wouldn't advise, the women to try it during pregnancy.
Okay.
And even in yoga, we have certain kinds of restrictions like avoiding deep twist, deep back bends, inversions of a very severe nature.
Okay.
So we don't teach that during pregnancy.
Okay.
Unless you have been practicing for a very, very long time and are comfortable with your own body.
Okay.
How does it differ from the regular yoga classes that we do, right?
Yeah.
So women come to us with some kind of complications or some kind of conditions like back pain, sciatica, a lot of cramps, pubic pain and so on. But having, no medication being done during pregnancy, how do you handle such complicated issues or conditions, and how do you practice yoga?
Yeah.
So we actually give them that kind of an environment where the postures are really safe. They are modified, variations for the postures are being given, so that she practices at her own pace and convenience.
Okay.
So we don't put any pressure in terms of alignment, in terms of having that perfect posture in pregnancy.
Okay.
So it's all taken for granted that you can have your own connection with your body, and as and how you feel that the body accommodates, you can get into deep stretches or regress it to a posture where you feel more safe and you can stay there at ease.
Okay. So now we've covered fertility, we've covered prenatal. Now you also do sessions for postnatal.
Yes.
So again, it's a similar question. What does that comprise of, and how does it help women?
So postnatal actually is the most challenging part, post-delivery.
Yeah.
Because hardly women find it time to actually have this window for self-care.
Correct.
And, as a teacher, I would give more importance to a postnatal woman than, prenatal women.
Okay.
Because prenatal is an easy journey, because the baby is inside and you are loving the most, memorable moment of your life. But postnatal is very challenging, where you have to play a dual role. And at the same time, you are, going to be drained out at the end of, maybe 6 months, 1 year down the line. So the more earlier that you take this step in terms of self-care, not much, maybe 20 minutes of your time during the day, just simple stretches, a little bit of breathing exercise, and 2 minutes of mindfulness. Okay, that can play a big role in terms of understanding yourself as a person and recharging you, in terms of, the energies that you need to actually, give to the child during nursing and breastfeeding.
Okay. So I think one thing that I noticed for all of these things that you mentioned is it comes with some stretches, which is yoga, and then mindfulness, and the third thing that pranayama. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a combination of 3 things for any of these. Is it like that?
Even in postnatal, we emphasize on actually stabilizing the mind, because you see that the woman is feeding for at least 14 to 16 hours a day, and obviously repetitively doing the same thing can be very demanding on her mind.
Yeah.
So we do give a lot of importance on taking the 2 minutes calmness for yourself.
Okay.
And that's why we stress on a holistic approach in Padma Yoga.
Okay.
Not just the physical aspect, but we also look at breathing as a main element in yogic practices.
Okay.
So without the breath, you cannot actually get into any practice.
Yeah.
And that's where the awareness begins in yoga.
Understood.
Unlike other practices, yoga is more to do with awareness and mindfulness rather than just moving the body.
Yeah.
And in postnatal, we focus on everything, not just the mind. We focus on the body at the very subtle level to understand where you feel the pain, where you feel the probably that kind of a discomfort in your body, and where you need to start working with, whether it is your glutes, your pelvic floor, whether it's your upper body, or you feel that there is tightness throughout the body, and you need a very gentle class targeting all parts of the body.
Okay, understood. Aarthi, during our conversation earlier, you had mentioned about how, after post-delivery also there are certain things that a woman can do or a mother can do so that the bonding between her and the child it grows basically, or there's a bond which is formed. So can we touch upon that a bit?
Sure. So as I mentioned, the responsibility of the mother is not just to, carry the child in the womb for the 9 months or to deliver the child safely, either vaginally or through C-section. But her roles as a parent, as a mother, continues in the long run, at least for the next 20 years.
More than that.
More than that, yes. And it's important that you increase that connection between the child and you in small things that you can spend time, in terms of teaching him or her the right kind of morals, value systems, the kind of habits that you want him or her to inculcate, the kind of responses that she should be giving in terms of behavioral skills, in terms of cognitive skills that you can develop with the child through games, through stories, and so on. So these things definitely play a big role in that 0 to 5 years of development for the child, if there is a huge bonding between the mother and the child. So at least spend a few hours on a daily basis, even if you're working, to nurture that kind of environment, so that your child is feeling safe and growing emotionally stronger than just physically stronger.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Since we are covering the women's reproductive health, Aarthi, I think one more thing that a lot of us know is about menopause and the things that come with it. So I know that you also do these sessions for women who are undergoing menopause. So what does the session comprise of? Again, the same question. And is it similar to all the other three things that we discussed, or is it different? How does that work?
So perimenopause or menopause, as we say, towards the end of your, reproductive health of any women, is actually another phase where women actually go through a lot of emotional imbalances. And I'm also in one of those stages as now. And, having said that, I also feel that there are a lot of external factors that can contribute to this rather than the physical health of the women. And by external factors, I would say how much importance you give to the activities around you. In terms of understanding your priorities. That is the training of self that we always start with in perimenopause, where you are going a full circle on changing a lot of habits that you have been through in your early days of your life, including the food habits, including the kind of exercises that you've had in the past. Because as you're young, you want to have a lot of challenges in your life, including trying out new funny things, going with the crowd that the masses follow. But perimenopause is all about slowing down, understanding what your body needs, not in terms of flexibility, not in terms of, the splits or the handstands that you have in your yoga practices, but it's all about strength training. To build the muscles in the body and also to improve the bone density in the body. So as you age, you find that these are all the vulnerable things that we don't pay attention to. And it's important that weight training is a part of, the daily regime that you should have as your practice. And I have realized it in a very bad way after a couple of, injuries within myself, that flexibility is not all the way that you need to look at in yoga, but a little bit of component of strength and endurance also adds up to a lot of balance in the body. So I would definitely encourage people in perimenopause to look at this aspect in terms of changing their ways of, doing practices, especially, their mat practices that they generally do.
So one thing, Aarthi, which I noticed during this conversation is about slowing down and things like that. But we see that women do have new aspirations, new things that they want to take on even after 40. I mean, currently we all go by the mantra, age is just a number.
Absolutely. Because as you see, women are, changing a lot of heads today at the age of 40. And, their dreams are actually way higher than what they were at 30s. And, they are exceptionally talented and focused. What they were doing at 20s, 30s, I think so way far less than what they are doing at 40s. which means to say they have understood that the principle of life is not about achieving a lot of things, but achieving minimum things which is of quality and something which is close to your heart. So a lot of people follow their dreams, which they are very passionate about, and with minimum effort, they try to achieve it, which means to say they are slowing down on a lot of activities, not multitasking, but prioritizing and balancing their health goals as well. So definitely they can make a big mark in their career if they actually synergize their dreams at the same time, give a lot of importance to self-care.
Aarthi, we've spoken about, since this episode was mainly focused on women's reproductive health, we focused only on fertility, prenatal, postnatal, menopause. But we know that Padma Yoga Academy is into a lot of other things. So maybe we can just mention the things that you do and leave the link to your website so people can reach out and, check what are the other things that they can be a part of.
Sure. So although our focus mainly lies in pregnancy and fertility, but we also do other forms of yoga practices in terms of Hatha yoga practices, in terms of restorative practices like in yoga, yoga nidra practices, and sound healing meditation practices. So these days, a lot of people look into sounds, which is called Nada Yoga, as a form of deep relaxation. And we have a lot of people in pregnancy also taking this ahead in terms of building that connection between the body and the mind, in terms of the vibrations of the sounds that go through the cellular level. And it's been a very impactful journey for them to listen to their own sounds and, connect with the baby within.
Oh, wow.
So,
that sounds nice.
Yeah. So this has been an amazing journey for us as teachers, to bond the pregnant women with the baby. Besides that, we also do a couple of seminars, workshops on a daily basis, monthly basis, and we are hoping to do a little bit of exploration on retreats in terms of improving the mother and child bonding through small practices, games, and some kind of trainings that we would like to develop for the mother and child as a parental role.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing, Aarthi. I think people can get in touch with you through your Instagram or your website and, check the details for that.
Yes, certainly.
So this has really been an amazing conversation, Aarthi. It's a bit too late for me. Though, of course, the menopause part we can still look at. But I think awareness is something that people have to start looking at. And like I said in the introduction, a lot of people are now, looking at health, looking at healing, the alternate ways of healing.
Yes.
And I think this conversation has been really very informative. So thank you for sharing all these aspects. And I hope, there are a lot of women who start thinking about taking this up and, bettering their lives.
Thank you so much, Sneha and the Wonder Woman, for having me here. It's been a very emotional moment for me to talk about, this particular journey. And I encourage all of you to start your journey in healing and wellness as early as possible, because the benefits are immense.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.